Full body tracking is one of my favorite things about virtual reality. Play VRChat long enough and you're gonna find yourself fighting against the urge to splurge. And I don't blame you, these tiny little things can drastically change the way you play. But my god, is it an expensive investment.
Hit that subscribe button and I will buy a Skittle in your
For something like the Vive trackers or Tundra trackers, which are the cream of the crop when it comes to full body, you're gonna be spending almost $400. And if you don't have base stations because you have a Quest 2 or something, you can add another $300 to your total. It is not cheap. But that's where these come in. Full body trackers from StonX, or StonX? I'm just gonna get StonX. I think it's supposed to be StonX. A team consisting of only 4 people who have been so generous as to send me a set of their trackers to check out for you guys. So take a seat, grab a drink, and sit back as we talk about StonX trackers. For context, let me talk about the different types of full body tracking in VR. If you want the best of the best, base station tracked trackers is where it's at. These are your Vive and Tundra trackers. The way that they work is that you have these base stations that shoot out IR lasers throughout your room that trigger small IR sensors on your devices. Then, by comparing the timings at which the sensors were triggered, it can calculate the position of your devices with high accuracy and low latency. There's a bunch of different alternatives you can do to achieve full body tracking. You can use an Xbox Connect, webcams, and more recently things like the Horizora X, Slime VR, and Mokopi, all of which are cheaper than Vive and Tundra's offerings. The StonX trackers fall into the same category as these. They all work on a network of IMUs, or inertial measurement units. In simpler terms, they're devices that combine multiple sensors, usually accelerometers, gyroscopes, and magnetometers, so that it can track things like how fast it's moving and its orientation. Because of this, these trackers don't need base stations. So you no longer have to worry about occlusion. This is great for people who want to play VRChat but also want to get real cozy under a nice warm blanket. I can't tell you how many times my hip tracker has been blocked by the armrest on my chair, causing me to just go flying whenever I'm playing VRChat. It's probably due to my base stations not being very high up towards the ceiling. It is recommended procedure that you put them up there, but I just haven't had the time to actually mount them. So let's talk about StonX for a little bit. There I was, playing some video games on a Friday afternoon when suddenly, a doorbell. Who could it be?
Hello, my name is StonX Cunningham. Very nice to meet you. Would you care to try out our new full body trackers?
Give me a minute. I did a little bit of research since this is the very first time I've ever heard of this company. So I go on their website and the first thing I see are the letters CBT and then shortly after, FAP. I now had no idea what the fuck was going on, but I continued to read on anyways. Fast accurate positioning, advanced fusion algorithms, geosphere driftless operations, socks. It all sounded very interesting. Okay, I'll try it out. After a little back and forth with the people at StonX, they sent me 6 of their Inside Out production prototype 2 trackers, an iteration of a long line of predecessors. They also sent me a dongle that also shines pretty cool RGB lights. One awesome thing about this is that all of the trackers connect to it, as opposed to needing one for each tracker like the Vives. The shell is made out of 3D printed plastic, soon to be injection molded. It has a USB-C port, a power button, and an indicator light. It has a battery life of roughly 15 hours, but the production version, which is what consumers will be able to get their hands on, will be roughly 20 hours, much better than the 7.5 on my Vive trackers. It also weighs in at only 30 grams. The Vive trackers weigh 75 grams. I can basically just toss these things around. And one more thing is that the StonX trackers come in at around $270 versus Vive's $390. That is $120 you could be saving, which is about 12 copies of Among Us VR. Now keep in mind that all of this stuff is pre-production. Everything you see here is subject to changes in the future. So if you ever pick these trackers up, chances are is that what you see here is not a full representation of the final product. Because I can tell you right now, they're not perfect, and I ran into a couple of issues. I went ahead and began the setup process. A series of videos were provided to me to help me in getting everything up and running. And from there I got a couple of hiccups. For one, the trackers just wouldn't pick up on the Kakao program. Automatic height measurement wasn't able to get my height correct. I'm 6'4" by the way. Whatever this is. And then they released a firmware update that was supposed to fix some connectivity issues but ended up causing the trackers to just not work at all. I just had so many issues with getting it to work that I had to rewrite the script for this video multiple times because I kept on finding new bugs. All of that was eventually solved though, thanks to very good support from the people at StonX, fixing a lot of issues once I brought them up. Overall, the setup for this thing was a little bit of a pain. But to be fair, that's what it means to be a prototype. There's bound to be issues. But now that all of that is out of the way, it was finally time to test it in VRChat. First impressions, I was absolutely blown away. The tracking quality on these things is, at times, indistinguishable from my Vive trackers. I was shocked. Speaking of the Vive trackers, I put the StonX trackers up against them because, that's the only other type of full body I have. I'm not rich, guys. I ran them through a series of tests, performing common activities you might see in VRChat. Walking around, standing around, sitting, laying down, dancing, and finally, cartwheels. Or is that just me? Leave a comment down below, I can't be the only one. There's nothing that I love more than to just walk and stand around in VRChat, as opposed to sitting, because you never know when you're gonna get jumped. They're chasing me! Ah! Oh shoot! Ah! Oh god! Get over me! Oh god! Ow! Ow! Oh! In this test, the StonX trackers hold up just fine. It looks super natural minus a little bit of jitteriness. When I do sit down, they also look pretty good. The Vive trackers, of course, are a little more precise and smooth. The StonX trackers still suffer from that jitteriness. Laying down doesn't look bad either. You're not usually moving around a lot when you're doing this, so both of them do pretty good. For dancing, I performed some of my favorite dances from one of my favorite games, FORTNITE. Things started to ramp up a little bit here as obviously there's a lot more movement going on, so I was eager to see how the StonX trackers would hold up. And this is when you can really start seeing which one is which. Although it's not bad, the StonX trackers still struggle with it being a little jittery compared to the more grounded Vive trackers. With cartwheels, they hold up surprisingly well. Although there's a couple weird things happening with my feet, it does look like I did a cartwheel. And there you have it. Overall, I'm super impressed with how these trackers perform, considering that they're not only a fraction of the price compared to Vive trackers coming in at around $270, but are also still just prototypes. They have the potential to be really good trackers, especially once all the bugs with the software are ironed out and when future firmware updates further improve tracking quality. More and more full-body tracking solutions have been emerging recently, and I hope that in the future, we'll see more users with access to it. Thank you to StonX for sending out their trackers to me, I'm really grateful. And special thanks to my Patreons, you guys are the coolest people of all time. If you guys want to be a part of this cool club, by the way, you can join using the link in the description. Check out my Discord server and Twitter account as well, you'll usually find me there a lot. And make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, it means a lot to me because I'm halfway there to 100,000 subscribers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.